I had a wonderful time in my life in the music business. I think I left a great legacy. We all make mistakes here and there, but when I said I was going to do something, I did it. And when I said that I believed something was going to be a hit, I really believed it was going to be a hit.
Oh my God, here we go again. For the Record is the name of this damn program. And Dave has a very special guest, a young man who rarely even does these things, does these interviews, but we have Don Ienner as our guest, and we're just pumped. Donny, as you don't know or know, started in the mailroom of Capitol Records, then went to Cam Productions. Did I say that right?
Yes.
If I was going to get if it was wrong, he'd tell me. Okay. In 1977, he started Millennium Records with his brother Jimmy Ienner. In 1983, became the VP of promotion of Arista, then quickly became the general manager, and then he made me the VP of promotion for some reason, as Donny then became the GM of Arista. In 1989, Donny was the youngest president ever at Columbia Records, started at age 36. Jesus, that means you were young when we were going crazy. In 2004, Donny was the CEO chairman of all of Sony Music, Columbia Epic, all the country labels, and whatever things I forgot to say. And my co-host Dave Sholin's here. And I'm going to start that you guys knew each other before I knew him, Donny, and maybe you, Duke. But tell us about the you played a Raspberries record. What's the story, you guys?
So when I was the mail boy, I became very friendly with the A&R people at Capitol, and the A&R guys just didn't listen to tapes, and that's when we come in acetates or actual reel-to-reel tapes. So at night, I would stay there from 6 to maybe 11 o'clock at night. And I would listen to tapes because I just loved it. And then the guys didn't go to half the shows. I went to see every band show, band, the Robbie Robertson band, or I went to all those. We had traffic because we distributed Island at the time, and it was Low Sparker High Heel Boys. I mean, all those amazing things that were going. Plus, we had the Beatles catalog, obviously, which I still have every Beatle record unopened in my office. But I was listening to these tapes, and somebody sent in a tape of the Raspberries, and I listened to it. And my brother was producing Lighthouse at the time, a Canadian band, had a big hit with One Fine Morning. And then he somehow got a copy of the tape as well. And long story short, we signed the band, signed it to Capitol. I was the mail boy. I had left because I wanted to do more than just be a mail boy. But I got hurt playing football in high school, and the scholarships that I did have soon were gone because I couldn't play ball anymore. And my parents couldn't afford to send me to college, and I just wanted out. So I actually quit high school. And the only thing I got out of high school was my still wife after 60 years. So since we were 15. So we've gotten lucky. But so as Jimmy was producing at that time, the 71, 72 was Lighthouse. I think he did Eartha Kitt. Then they started doing the Raspberries, and we did it in New York at the record plant. And I was getting involved every day, and I was sort of calling radio stations and calling the record companies that were distributing our records and getting to know what happened in sales. And everything that I ever stood for used to just slap me in the face in those days with these record companies, because they used to say everything is great, 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 and then it's over. Well, I knew that was never the case. So what I did is, and I changed a lot of people's lives by doing what I did. I told them the truth, and it was harder to tell the truth, but you could plan on telling the truth. The record is struggling. The record is not going to make it. We need to pick another single. Let's go do an edit. Because in those days, ask Duke, you had to have a record under 3 minutes. But I lied on every single label copy I ever made in my entire life because they were 310, 320, because they weren't even carts in those days, right? They were just, you were playing vinyl.
Yes, exactly.
So we released. So I met Dave not through any sort of technology, but just Dave would sent out a playlist from KLIV in San Jose. I remember it like it was yesterday. It's 54 years ago.
It's amazing.
And it was blue. And he wrote a nice little blurb about the Raspberries and Don't Want to Say Goodbye. I thought it was a terrific song. It was. I never wanted it to be the first single, but the folks at Capitol wanted it to be the first single. How could you want that to be the first single when Go All the Way was about as obvious a hit as you could have during those days?
Yeah.
And Dave wrote about it, and the rest is history as far as that's concerned. But during that time, there were two songs that were banned on a lot of radio stations in the United States, specifically in the Bible Belt. Why this is coming back to me now, I have no idea, but it is. I didn't burn myself out that bad, I guess. It was My Ding-a-Ling by Chuck Berry, and it was Go All the Way by the Raspberries. And these Bible Belt radio stations didn't play them, which stopped us from going to number one instead of number three. So I vowed in my life at that point, I would never have a number 2 record. I would never have a number 6. I would never have a number 11, ever. Those numbers didn't exist for me. So Ricky knows, because we didn't have any of those. And that was a wonderful period, because you literally knew. You could talk about the San Jose market. I could talk about all the other ones. You really kind of knew in a week whether the record was going to get any action or not. There was no long, drawn out period of time. Either the phones lit up and you sold a few copies and the rack jobbers and the one stops would reorder it, or they wouldn't. And then you're on to the next one.
So was Dave State, were you one of the first to play it in the country?
Yeah.
Wow.
I went crazy for this song. This was like, it was a no-brainer.
No-brainer.
Great
top. So we couldn't get the record to sound right until, because I used to remix all the singles and do all the edits. And in that case, I think the song might have been 5 minutes at the time, but we had to cut it down. Right. But the guitars would never, ever sit right. And Shelly Yakis, who was the engineer, put an equalizer on it, like a compressor on it. And the VU meter went like this, and it never moved. It never moved. It was awesome. And the record became a big, gigantic worldwide hit. And then I went on my first road trip with the band. We went to Europe. We played Germany, France, and the UK. And we did like 15, 20 TV shows, and the record blew up all over the world. And I'm still 21 years old, figuring what the hell am I doing? I'm in France today. We're driving the bus through the Black Forest in Germany, and we're on our way to Nice. Wonderful period.
Were you the person calling? Were you calling all the stations yourself at that time, or did you have a label with you? A bigger label?
They were on Capitol, so we had the Capitol crew.
Right.
But they had 16 priorities and I had one. And if we didn't make it work, I didn't eat. it was pretty cut and dry. So that's when I started calling that, and I would start calling retail, and I'd start calling the trades, and I would start trying to get, the videos, the little videos that we had from the UK played at night in different places. And then I became very good friends with Rick Sklar. May he rest in peace. Was a wonderful, wonderful man to me. He was almost like a mentor father to me when I was a kid, and he was the most powerful radio programmer in the world, even more than the BBC at that time, because WABC, first of all, it was WA Beatlesy when we grew up, and then it was WABC, and they had a playlist of 10 to 14 songs maximum.
Tight.
And he had a kid's school that one of his kids, or one of the kids in the school, it was a private school in New York, loved the Raspberries. And we did a private show at the school. Herbie Rosen was one of the most notorious, wonderful, clean, non-payola guys in the world, independent promotion guys. And Herbie introduced me to Rick. And then we played the show. And the next Tuesday morning, he added "Go All the Way" by the Raspberries.
Wow. That was it.
It was on 4 radio stations in the entire world. And then that summer, we did a show in Central Park, and John Lennon played as well. Mm-hmm. And that's when Lennon first heard the Beatles and loved them. And there's a story later about Overnight Sensation and John coming into the studio when I was mastering it and editing it. And that was a good one. That's a long time ago, but that was around 74-ish.
Wow.
Never heard that story. But you remember coming to San Jose? You were there, and a couple of, I think it was Eric and whoever it was that came over to my
Eric and Wally.
I had a little condo in San Jose.
Yeah, I do. I couldn't rent a car. I didn't have a credit card. So they were older than me, so they had to rent the car. Some Capital dude rented a car. I don't remember.
It was just the best times.
It was a great time. Oh. It was a simple time, and it wasn't all the insanity of corporations buying radio stations.
Exactly.
It wasn't the time when the Reagan administration decentralized, or whatever you call it, did all the deregulated all the radio stations, so you could only own one on the AM dial, one on the FM dial, then you could own 10 across, or the consolidation of the music business where everybody was buying everybody, and it was all about how much you could make versus nurturing the talent. Very difficult period. I mean, we seem like we're old, and we are in a certain way, but it was a time that unfortunately we may never ever get back, because I don't know. With everything that's going on in the world, right or left, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Why isn't there anybody taking Bob Dylan's place? Why isn't there a new Led Zeppelin? Why isn't there a new Temptations? Why isn't there a new Marvin Gaye? Why? Because they're on TikTok and they haven't earned their right. I think American Idol fucked the whole thing up, to be quite honest. They didn't pay their dues. They went on TV. They became big stars. Now they're working in car washes. They committed suicide. There's only 2 of them that mattered: Kelly Clarkson and the country girl,
Carrie Underwood. Yeah,
Underwood. That's it. Think about that. That's it.
It's crazy.
Last 25 years, 2 artists made it, and Jennifer Hudson on a different level. But that's it.
Philip Phillips had he's still out there. He's still doing music. So I think put in there. But it's a whole.
They didn't
different
become
thing.
what they should have become because they didn't have the background to do it, nor did they build an audience.
But it's so funny you mentioned, when you talked about Go All the Way, I never thought about it as anything it didn't, really Go All the Way. Was just, it was a different, it just didn't. It
was a different mindset to us.
Yeah.
But My Ding-a-Ling was pretty obvious.
Yeah, that one worked.
Yeah.
But Go All the Way was about, please, let's go all the way. It was an answer to a Beach Boys song, and it was an answer to Let's Spend the Night Together, which didn't get played on the radio a lot of places either. Yeah, when you think about it, it was crazy in that time.
So let's go to,
because at the time because you worked at Epic years later, but Rick Swig.
No, I never worked at Epic. Columbia.
This is somebody I'm telling you about with it had a Chuck Berry thing, because it was Rick Swig was going to Stanford.
Rick Swig.
He was working for a distributor, H.R. Basford in San Francisco. They had Chess, which had Chuck Berry. So he drives his car. He drives down to San Jose, brings me this song, and it was just he said, here it is. I said, well, I'll tell you what. You get in your car. You drive back to Stanford, and in about 10 minutes, you're going to be hearing something. And sure enough, that was it. I said, there's another no-brainer. I mean,
Total
About two
no-brainer.
seconds later, phones went crazy. Everybody said,
Yeah.
"Oh man, my dingling!" Every kid in the world, play that again. Okay.
I
Rick
want to.
Swig, the Fairmont Hotel owner, right?
Yes,
What's
that's right. His family owned the
family owned the
Fairmont
Fairmont
chain.
Hotels.
Yeah.
Okay, you two. I got it. We got it. So,
Get us back on track. Okay.
okay, you guys. So obviously, Millennium was hot. You were hot.
Well, wait,
Worked
wait,
for.
wait, wait. We're not finished with Cam. So after Cam, I mean, you're going to edit a lot of this, I guess, but
Now I am.
Cam,
Maybe
after
not.
after
It's
Cam, we did Three
No
Dog
editing.
Night, Grand Funk Railroad, and on and on. And we're doing all these huge hits, and I'm getting really good at what I'm doing. Jimmy was getting tired of being in the studio. And we said, listen, we're making everybody all this money and we're getting royalties, light royalties. In those days, maybe a producer got 8 points, 6 points. That was it. And there were terrible accounting practices. You paid for everything. It was shitty. So then we started a record company thinking that was going to be the answer to everything. And we did okay. I mean, we had a couple of hits with Don McLean, Tommy James. We did Laurie Lieberman. We had a huge, gigantic Midwestern hit with a band called The Gods. But our biggest one was Miko's Star Wars, which sold like 10 million singles and albums. It was a big, big hit. But there was some internal conflicts at Casablanca at the time with one of our partners who shall remain nameless. Not any of those guys, because we love Bruce Bird and we love Neil Bogart and we love Gary Bird and all those guys, Larry Harris. And so we ended up sort of going to RCA at that point, where we had more hits, none big, and then the video games came into play, and that was an issue. You can't hum a video game. Remember that? And then we started, and then at that particular point became 1982. My brother didn't want to go in the studio anymore, and I had a multitude of job offers. I had known Clive very well from Blood, Sweat, and Tears days when we produced Blood, Sweat, and Tears at Columbia, and obviously Eric Harmon and the Bay City Rollers that we produced at Arista. And he called Richard Palmisi was leaving, and he said, I only have a job that you're way overqualified for, but why don't you come in and we could build this thing together? And that's what happened. And it worked out really well. And then I got to meet Ricky.
Well, to be honest, and Arista has been always a successful label, but pre-Donny was a little bit of a lull there. And he came in and it was like a bolt of energy and the whole company just changed. And we had Clive was Clive, but we had no real leader that was in charge of the departments, and Donny just took over like a bull in a china shop, but with success. And my first remember was our Thompson Twins records, and I mean, just how you turned the company around, Donny.
It was really,
yeah, we got lucky. We had good timing, and I was fighting for my life, and I was scared to death. What the hell did I know? I had a 4-year-old son. I had to make it good. I had no educational background. I was always smart, but I never had an educational background to fall back on. But I did every contract. I did everything you could do at those fundamental stages of your career, the 10,000 hour theory, of which, unfortunately, when we talked about American Idol and that stuff, nobody had 10,000 hours. You need 10,000 hours. I had 20,000 hours. I knew every single part. I knew everybody's job at the record company better than they ever did.
Right.
So, I mean, I got lucky, and I was scared to death. Every time I got a promotion, I was scared to death. I didn't know what was going to happen, and it was a 40-year career, so it worked out okay.
Yeah, but so Arista really, but when you joined, Clive started, I believe, 74. So
Clive started 73, and we signed Eric Harmon there in 74, and All By Myself came out actually on my wedding day, October 19th, 1975.
Wow.
And then we did Bay City Rollers after that. And then there was a pretty big lull where lots of executives left. There was all kinds of issues going on. Ricky was being kinder than as he always would be because he's very respectful. It was a tough period, and a lot of shit was going on there. And we cleaned it up, and we focused on the things that we knew that we could work and we could make better, and we focused on those, and we did rally everybody together. And Clive let me do my thing, and it worked.
Do you remember the first time you heard Whitney?
That was it.
That night was one of the. It happened to me twice. I heard Whitney, and then I heard Mariah demos, and both times I left where I was to go to find both of those two women and work on them. And to this day, nobody has ever broken either one of their records. 7 number ones in a row, both times. It worked. But yeah, I do remember when I heard Whitney. Clive played it for me in his office. We used to go up there all the time. Making Love Under Nothing at All by Air Supply was starting to fail. And he said, come on, can you revive this? Can you revive this? I did. And I just called my friends, and they played it, and they got reaction, and we went. And then we started, and we had a lot of Billy Ocean hits, and we had Whitney hits, and Thompson Twins came over. And the funny, Rick at some point will tell you the Michael Ellis, Scott Shannon, Thompson Twins story, which was one of the funniest ones ever. Remember when Scott told me to tell Michael to put it on the radio?
Yeah.
So
wait. This is a good one. Wait.
Well, they just started Z100.
So Scott and Donny are friends, obviously close friends. And Donny must have talked to Scott, and Scott said, yeah, call my... Tell what really happened. I think he told you to call Michael Ellis, who was the music director.
He told me because I played it for him over the phone. He goes, oh, that's good. Can you get everybody else to play it? I said, yeah, I'm going to get everybody to play it. I said, I think it's a number one record. I would never say that unless I truly believed it in my heart. I think I was the only person ever to call MTV to tell them to stop playing videos because they were playing them too much, to be honest. And I didn't want them to get burned out. But so Scott said, yeah, call Michael Ellis.
So
we called, and Rick was friends with Michael and finished the story.
I basically remember Donny saying to Michael, put the record on. Scott told me to. Now...
He was the first. I think it was the first non-rock station. Yeah, I think
really?
that day.
I thought you were going to talk about "Fuck the Flock."
Oh no. Well, no. We decided that we weren't going to let managers dictate to us what we were going to work, or other than Clive, any other executive at the company tell us what to do.
Well, what Donny did, which I continued my whole career doing and learned from him, is even though these are the 15 records that we're working and we're supposed to work and everything's get a shot, we got to get the 2 or 3 first that are the real hits, because at that time, a lot of people were chasing the priorities, like he would say, through some corporate or management pressure for the wrong reasons, and you'll lose your records. And that's one thing I learned from Donny. It doesn't matter where it comes from. If something's happening in Atlanta with the Crash Test Dummies or whatever, go work it.
Just get one. I would always just say, just get one. Just get one, and then they'll be easy to follow after that. But if you start taking pressure from all these people and you get this corporate stuff that's going on, it'll never work. And I live that to this day in my financial world and the restaurants that we own and all the other things. You just got to have a sense of excellence and not bullshit anybody. And that's really a rare thing in the world, especially today.
Oh, boy.
Right. You know, it's all full of just crazy stuff. Anyway, so then that was Arista. I didn't really want to leave Clive. We had an incredible run. He was like my father. But there was an opportunity that I just couldn't pass up at the time. And I was sorry it was Columbia because of Clive's history there. But there was nothing I could do about it at that particular time. And the Japanese, and after Kenny G, the Japanese went completely nuts and said, you got to get that guy. You got to get that guy. You got to get that guy. So we did it. And it was it was a deal that set me up for life financially, and I did it. So it worked out well.
It sure did. But before we even segue into the Columbia days, what do you know? I'm sure there's a list, but what do you think? Maybe the first one or two things that come to mind, the things that really that Clive Davis taught you and you learned, things that you were maybe two or three that really stand out, the things that really, if you think about it.
Well, first was his true dedication to excellence.
Right.
Don't be a slave to any schedule. He would miss release dates left and right. He was not going to abide by anybody's release schedule until the record was right. Could never come out till the record was right. We didn't have every single song we ever put out was not a hit record, but we probably had one of the best batting averages in the history of pre-recorded music. And that was because we did a lot of due diligence first. We had music way in front. We kind of knew where we were. And I had a relationship with him where I could tell him the truth.
Right.
People didn't. I didn't care. Clive, this is not going to work. We better figure out, maybe get a different song, maybe remix it, maybe do something else, but it's not going to work. It's not going to go. I cannot make it go. 3 was never compromise. He just never compromised. He was insistent on getting the best performance he could and the best mixes that he could at that time in the primitive world that we lived in, right? This is 83, 84, 85, 86. I mean, these were not high-tech times. Thank God there were no auto-tune. So the when you got the chills, and he got them like I got them, like most of us get them, more like a layperson than a professional, I'd rather have the ears that I have than a professional ears, because if the hair on the back of my neck stands up, I know it's going to be a hit or it's going to be in contention to be a hit. So I think those things more than anything, and to keep your ears fresh. Clive always kept his ears fresh, no matter what happened. Whoever the next producer was, whatever the next sound was, whatever this was, and he was a voracious reader. And I am, and I always have been. And we really had a lot in common. Obviously, he was a brilliant guy. But in terms of how we operated and how we actually wanted he was a tough taskmaster, but he was fair.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was a tough taskmaster, and sometimes I wasn't so fair. I was young. I was a little abrasive at times, but I was fighting for my life and the company's life. And that's not an excuse. It's just the truth. Looking back at my career, I could have done things a little differently, but in the overall scheme of things, I treated everybody with respect, and I got treated back with respect. And I was never afraid of these wacky independent promotion guys that thought that they were going to threaten me. I just, bring it on. It doesn't matter. I grew up in a tough projects, so bring it on. No problem. They couldn't even fit in my chair at Arista. Remember Ricky?
What?
Big guys. But we just never compromised what we had to do. And that's what happened even with Whitney Houston. We went the rough way with her. We went the tough way. We could have released the pop hits first, but we went with You Give Good Love because only she could sing You Give Good Love. We had her dressed up as a beautiful African woman in a beautiful African garb to make sure that we took care of what we took care of. I also came up with an idea to send every R&B program director's wife or better half a red rose and a red vinyl You Give Good Love single on Valentine's Day. And that's when we released it. And that had to be first before we crossed it over at that time. Because MTV never played that, or they didn't play You Give the second single, You Give Good Love. No,
Right.
what was the second single? You give, and then they played "How Will I Know" big time.
That's
So that was the three thing. There's a lot of things with threes. Bruce Springsteen didn't break until his third album. So many artists didn't break till their third single, their third album. And you have to have the patience to make sure and stick to itiveness to make it go, unlike, unfortunately, today.
Here's the question I was going to ask you. So I know what it was like when you got to Arista because I was there. So when you went to Columbia and there you are, your first day, your first week, how different was it? Did it feel 10 times bigger? Was it harder? Was it harder to get to motivate just the whole beginning experience?
They were also having a really difficult time. I hated it.
The beginning.
I hated the corporate nature of it. Hated. I loved the idea that Sony was there more than I did when it was CBS, because I liked Sony and I liked the Sony strategy. I mean, if you think back on Steve Jobs, everything he ever did was based on Sony, and the white and the clean and the crisp and the perfectness. I mean, they are brilliant people. I mean, they did invent the transistor radio, what we fell asleep on every night when we were kids, listening to Murray the K. I mean, they really did do all those things, and the Walkman and the CD with Philips. So they were pretty brilliant, but the staff was really demotivated. They had a lot of people there for a really long time. Unfortunately, we had to clean house. I promoted mostly from within. I didn't bring a lot of people in from the outside, but I always thought the number two person in an area had a better shot than bringing somebody else in that doesn't know the culture. But we had to change the culture first, and that took a minute. Although we got hot real fast, and we set every record that you could possibly set instantly. But it was very frustrating for a while, and I missed Arista. I missed the closeness of it. I was very close to everybody that was there. I was very close to Mottola and Yetnikoff and those guys, but it wasn't the same as going up and listening to Clive and playing 10 songs in a row, the same one over and over again, louder and louder every fucking time, just so we drilled it into our heads. But yeah, I mean, it was a culture shock. It was obviously huge, and it was an international company. We had 50 other record companies within the structure. We had our own competitive nature with Epic. There's a lot of infighting that was going on there, but it worked out.
You also had a lot. I mean, the competition between you and Warner Brothers, kind of like legendary. It was West Coast, East Coast, totally different cultures, and it was. I remember some of these conventions. Fuck the bunny. The bunny was the big,
Yeah. I mean, anything to motivate it. But what I did was, whether it was getting Chris Whitley on the Tom Petty tour or getting Alice in Chains on the Van Halen tour, Mo would never do that. Never. And if he never was going to do it, I was going to do it. If I was going to get one of my bands on a big tour, I did it. And so I got down to on every level, the nitty gritty and getting it done, because these guys were sitting in their beautiful stick building in Burbank, brilliant guys. I mean, don't get me wrong, brilliant guys, incredible taste, wonderful company on every level, but they weren't as aggressive as we were. And we were very aggressive because we had to be, because we had this corporate, ridiculous fucking building. Then we went from a corporate fucking building to a more corporate fucking building when AT&T couldn't afford the Philip Johnson building. So Sony decided to buy it, as opposed to being in those cool buildings on Burbank's West Coast. So yeah, there was definitely competition there, but we held our own and won.
Yeah, well, it's passion. I mean, you talk about being, aggressive. I mean, you had that passion to believe, just like Clive and certainly everybody at Columbia. If you believe in someone, and one of those people happened to be Mariah Carey at the beginning, because our good friend Bert Baumgartner, who I talked to earlier, said to say hello, Bert and Bob Garland got me in a room after the Gavin convention. Gavin, for those who don't remember, was a trade magazine. Not
Yep.
many of those around. And so we're at this hotel. This is 2 a.m.
That
We
sounds
had
right.
partied for 3 days at this convention, and they said, "Get ready, we're going to play something for you." I could barely keep. And then they put on Vision of Love, and you want to know about Chills? I said,
Yep.
"Oh my God, who is
Yep.
that?"
Yep.
He's 20-year-old, and then about a year later, I think you put it together in
18,
Bert.
18 at the time. 18 at the
18.
time.
Wow,
18.
unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just one of those.
That was the actual demo that she recorded herself that we spruced up. And coming back from that Gavin convention, we thankfully had a Sony plane. It was me and obviously Tommy and her and Walter Afanasieff and a couple of other guys. She played Love Takes Time, which we already had albums pressed without it on it. Went back into the studio Monday, scrapped those albums and put Love Takes Time on, which became the second single and the first 4 in a row number ones. That's a true story.
Wow, I didn't know that one.
We scrapped it. Yeah.
That is amazing. And I was lucky enough to interview her about a year later. I think you put it together, and Bert in L.A. We sat down, and she was, very innocent, just learning the business, and it was tough to get. There's a lot of answers from her, but then she opened up, and
she was a young kid,
out.
just like Whitney was, Dave. I mean, Whitney was like my niece. I mean, we went everywhere together. And then her pseudo manager at the time, not her father, but Robin, basically would try to say no on everything because Whitney was uncomfortable. Then I would call Robin and say, Robin, we need to do this. Trust me, we need to do this. I will never tell you you need to do something that's not worthy. If I ever do that, then you could say no the next time. Other than that, it's going to be helpful. And she did everything we ever wanted her to do. It was amazing. And she was a wonderful, wonderful person, as was Mariah. Mariah changed years later with all the drama with Tommy and the stupid movie and all those crazy things. But this was a girl that used to sleep at our house. I mean, she was good for. She's still good friends with my oldest son.
It is true.
It's incredible.
Those big artists were always, to me, the easiest and the most realistic to work with. They kind of got it more than some of the B's and C's. I hate to call them B's and C's to categorize them, but those true greats had that. Besides just being artistic and great, they had that drive of work and listening and wanting to be successful.
If you told them the truth and you prepared them for the worst, there were times when I would have rather told somebody what was not going well as opposed to what was going well. Ricky could tell them what's going well. I just wanted to make sure that there was a voice that told them, we got a little 911 here. We got a little issue. We got to deal with it. And they originally, were tough on it, but then they understood it. And that's the only way to prepare, because that's what happened to me. I got screwed 50 times when I was a kid. It's great. It's over. Well, how could that be? How could it be great and then it's over?
Right.
It just didn't make any sense to me. So that's why we stuck with Touch of Grey by the Grateful Dead. We even got Keith to play it at KMEL, a disco station. I wouldn't stop. I think I called him every single day.
I think we're going to get together next week. I'm going to see Keith. I'll have to tell him that.
Yeah, he'll remember.
Story.
He'll remember.
He's going into the Bay Area Radio Hall of Fame. We're going to be interviewing him at some point here.
Well, you're in it.
I'm in it, but he's about hit time for KMEL was like a they were trailblazers.
Incredible. They were, and then they became friends with all the artists on top of it.
Exactly.
He was very smart. He's still smart.
If you had to think of what would stand out as your proudest achievement, what do you think, music-wise? If there was an artist, a song, if you had to say this was, I mean, it could have been something that nobody believed in, and
Well, there was 100 of those, right?
That's what I was thinking you were going to
Yeah,
say.
there's
There's
a
100 of
lot of them.
those.
But if there's one
I
that
don't know.
stands out, or one or
I think back and I think about a lot of things, but launching Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey was pretty amazing on a worldwide basis. One of my proudest moments was bringing back Bob Dylan in Time Out of Mind
wow,
and winning
yeah.
Album of the Year, and him doing a whole lecture about me on stage at the Grammys. Bob Dylan, fucking Bob Dylan.
Unbelievable.
I mean, there's so many of those kind of situations that were fun. I was put in a good situation. I was never fearful of any of these artists, and I just spoke to them on a one-to-one basis, and they appreciated not getting jerked off, to be quite honest. And I didn't do that. I just would never do that. Even Bruce's comeback was a big deal. After he broke up the band, he had a solo career. Then Blood Brothers came. There was I gave Kingston the exclusive on Blood Brothers, and he played it 11 times in a row on a Friday afternoon on Z100, and it launched the comeback of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. That's a true story, actually. 11 times in a row. It's like 9 minutes.
Unbelievable.
I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, for anybody that you mentioned Kingston, that's Steve Kingston from Z100. So we want to give Stevie a shout out.
One of the greats in the world, as a
He's
person, as a
Absolutely.
father, as a husband, and as a friend, and as a professional. I love the guy. Been friends for 40 years. He's a wonderful guy.
It's crazy. So what was it like? So you're working at Arista, you're working 10 to 12 records. How do you, when I say working, overseeing, how do you go from 12 to 13 to 60? That's crazy.
I never went to 60. I never released them.
I see.
I control the releases. Can't get 60. Can't get 15. So you just can't, right? So you got to deal with it from that perspective. I don't know what you could do. You could regionalize a little bit in those days, right? You couldn't really regionalize because MTV was so powerful. So things came in from Australia, things came in from the UK, things came in from Canada. We had to give them priority. They were our brothers, they were our partners, they were our record companies, just like I wanted our artists to go to the UK, go to Australia, go to Canada, and not only English-speaking countries. So you had to balance it, and we did a really good job of balancing it. I have to say, Bert rose to the occasion. He had a really good team around him. The person that was there before Bert was not capable of what I expected,
Right.
but he had Jerry, who was nuts, and he had Charlie, who came in after. There were some terrific local promotion people at that time, probably 30 or 40 of them. Those days are gone or were gone soon thereafter. But they created different things, and there were, just like you would prepare a meal, there's different layers of what you have to do to prepare a meal. We would prepare, what we had to do. And, there was a lot of press that was involved then. There were albums that were involved. It wasn't just singles. It was difficult, but we managed to sift through it because we worked the best stuff we could work.
But also you guys were very aggressive and won a lot of bidding wars for artists that were out there. And that was a big part of what you did. Yes, you had an A&R team, but you closed a lot of deals and signed a lot of acts as well during the Columbia days. It wasn't just all those heritage artists.
No, we signed everything we wanted except Green Day and Nirvana. Nirvana, they were all in my office. We had already signed Alice in Chains, and they were incredibly impressed with what we were doing. Grohl and I became friendly, but I didn't think there was any way at all that Nirvana was going to sign with Columbia Records in this big, gigantic, monolithic building when Kurt Cobain's favorite band was Sonic Youth, and they were on Geffen. So I knew that we weren't there. But we had Green Day. I loved Green Day. We were executing contracts, and somehow they took the last trip to go to Burbank, and we're hanging out at that building, like I was telling Duke before. And they loved the vibe of the building. Guys are smoking pot. This one's doing this one's doing that. And they called and said, no thanks. Those are the only two that I really lost that I wanted desperately.
We interviewed the Doobie Brothers. That was our second interview. And that's exactly what they were talking about. They would go there and hang out in the offices, and we're friends with the assistants all the way. It was a different vibe. And I could
California.
See
where, we're this way. We're this way, and they're that way. It was spread out. They were there, and then they'd have the cafeteria, and they'd have this, and Mo would be eating in the cafeteria. We had executive fucking lunchrooms, everything you don't want to have in the music business.
Right. It's the funniest thing.
There were ropes, those fucking ropes around where nobody can go talk to anybody. It was just stupid. But meanwhile, we had an incredible run. We were, 20-year run that nobody ever had. I not only was the youngest president, I was the longest lasting president of Columbia. Nobody ever lasted longer.
Are you keeping up with what's going on in the music world? Do you listen to music, radio, whatever? Go to streaming, which we definitely I want to get your thoughts on the streaming world. But do you keep up on what's happening in
I do. And I am most of the time disappointed or unmoved. When I heard a few years ago Casey Musgraves, I knew something was happening. I heard Olivia Dean last year and knew not one bit of auto-tune was with her. And I loved it. And look at what's happening with her. I am terribly disappointed in rock. I'm terribly disappointed in male black, male white, male period. It's just not there. You should be saying something besides party, 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 and TikTok this and TikTok that. It's like the goofiest thing. Or we could say this. We could do this. When you say it, play it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's that was.
I try to stay up, but I do not go on social media whatsoever.
Do you think the system of how a record breaks through, even though there's more music now ever being released
with no filter,
do you think the system isn't allowing that? Do you think artists are getting lost in there, or they're not there?
I don't think they're there. I just don't think that they're there. I just don't think that, or so far, when I heard Olivia Dean, I believed every word she said. I don't believe 90% of what they're saying. There's 62 writers on every song. You can't have 62 writers on every, I'm exaggerating. There's 10 writers on every song. You can't have 10 writers on every song. There's no point of view anymore. There's no there. And I don't subscribe to TikTok. I'm not on Facebook. I don't do that, but I do listen a lot to a lot of different songs, and I just am unmotivated. And I think it's the best thing that happened during COVID was all these filmmakers had no place to make their films. So they made documentaries for $12. And these documentaries became what got us all through, or partially all through, COVID at that time. Where is somebody making a record, right? It's where are they just taking their guts because they have to make a record, not because they want to be famous, not because they have 4,000 streams on TikTok, not because of any of that, but they have to do it. I don't feel that. I just don't feel it. And I felt it on Olivia Dean, but I haven't felt it since. And even the R&B acts that I grew up with, the newer folks, I just don't buy them. I mean, how many times can you party? I mean, Usher's still doing the same sex routine on stage for the last 30 years. I just, where's Teddy Pendergrass? I mean, come on. I just don't feel it. And I would be a failure right now. I definitely would not win.
Well, one of the
If I was running a company, if I was running a company and I was in charge of A&R, I would fail. There's no question about it.
Well, one of the formats / genres that is so big right now. In fact, Guy Zapolian, our friend Guy,
I love Guy.
He put out this story last week. This is the first time I think he said in I don't know how many decades that 3 out of the top 10 of the top in the top 100 are country in top 40 land. I mean, these are country artists breaking through. Stella Lefty for one, certainly Ella Langley is huge. Morgan Wallen, top 40 radio.
It's real.
They haven't done that in years.
It's real. It's moving away from party, Cristal. How many times can you do it?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. It's just so crazy.
Lyrically,
that's why I would be a failure. My children, my sons are Jason's very involved in all that stuff. And, I wanted to go back the way it was. I said, isn't there Led Zeppelin or the Allman Brothers somewhere in a band in a garage somewhere? He goes, I don't think so, Dad. That's the problem. I don't think there are. And if they were, and they wanted to put out their own record, there's 60,000, I think there's something like 60,000 new songs released a day.
Right.
AI.
Some ridiculous, almost unfathomable number. Say what you want about us. We filtered through the best stuff that we could filter through, in our opinion, at that time. And it could have been alternative. It could have been hip hop. It could have been rap. It could have been R&B. It could have been pop. It could have been anything. But we had all the genres covered. But now, who told you could make a record? You have no fucking idea what you're writing about or talk. We help people. I sent Train back into the studio 6 times to write Drops of Jupiter. Otherwise, they would have been finished, done, over, finished.
Right.
Everybody else at the company said, "Oh yeah, put it out. We had a big hit with Meet Virginia. Yeah, put it out." I said, "This is not ready. The album's going to fail. They'll be finished. Finished. That's not easy to do. That's not easy to tell them to go back and do it. It was hard. It was hard.
Right.
You have to have a roadmap and somebody to direct you to all of that, and that's why. Well, it's actually this was I think a stat just a couple of weeks ago. Deezer out of France, 90,000 AI tracks a day. You're talking about the 90,000 AI tracks today, tomorrow, by the end of the week. Add them up. I mean, it's really. And some gems in there, but
even a scarier thing. Some of these AI generated songs are out streaming and out calling out of some of the songs that were made in studios and stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's a reason for it, right? There's a reason for it. It's unmotivated. What's on the radio, basically, I'm going to sound like an old fart. Basically, to me, feels like it's made for 13 to 16-year-old girls. But at least we had the Beatles, 13 to 16-year-old girls, and the Four Seasons, and the Temptations, and the Rolling Stones. What the fuck? What is going on? Don't get me started. I can't have a heart attack. I just can't. I can't stand it. I just can't. And my wife stays very current and very young. We're the same age, and she listens to Hits One in the car on Sirius. Mm-hmm. She knows all the new songs. And sometimes I'm in the car and she'll say, "Oh, put on Hits One. Stop listening to classic rock." And when we're laughing, and I turn it on, and every single vocal performance sounds exactly the same as the song that preceded it. There's just no difference. There's no variation in sound. They all sound exactly the same. Rhythmically, they're almost all the same. Sonically, they're almost all the same. And you know they're not singing. Or they're singing, but it's all complete auto-tune.
And ballads are rare. Ballads are rare.
Ballads are rare. Yeah. It's a I don't know that we're ever going to see what we saw. I don't, with the exception of Christopher Nolan, are we going to ever see great films again? I don't know. Do you have to make a $300 million film to make it good? Because these studios, all these cats just want to keep their jobs. So they're going to tell you to remake, a movie for the 16th time. It's a very creatively right now. All of the creative industries are real tough. I'm reading Cameron Crowe's new book, which is fantastic, about when he first started writing, reviews at 15 and 14 and going to shows. Yeah. It inspires you. Every second of it inspires you because of what you were able to do at that point and the bands that just came into town and went through. It's just very frustrating to see what I saw versus where we are now.
Yeah, that Cameron Crowe book, by the way, John Ivey was the first person to tell me about that book.
Oh, really?
He's a big reader and compare notes, but he fell in love with that book. It's very good. You got to read it.
It's worth it. Yeah, it's worth it. And his mother's a trip. And we did singles together, so I mean Cameron's a friend. And but it's a great book. So is the Robbie Robertson last book. It's a fantastic book. And it just brings you back into that period. I'm not a nostalgia guy. It's not about that, but it's a motivating, it's motivating to me versus hearing it. I like listening. One of my sons lives in Portugal, so we get to hear so many different things over there. Music is really cool there. And it's very interesting. Lots of live shows, lots of great live shows. And it's, and you go there and it's different. You go there and you're having dinner, whether you're in a local restaurant or you're in a fancy schmancy restaurant. Kids are speaking to their parents, 4 years old, 3 years old, 2 years old. They don't have headphones on. No, they're not looking at a device. They're coloring and they're talking to their parents. The only ones that have headphones on and have an iPad are the Americans that are eating there, letting their kids be babysat by a fucking device. Think about it.
Yeah, wow, that is quite a comment. It is amazing. If you're, go to an airport, go to your doctor's office.
Yep.
Everybody is.
Yep.
Hello.
Australia banned phones in school 1 year ago and social media for 16 and under. The average grade level has gone up 30%. The communication between the students has grown 50 to 60%. And now France is looking at it. It's gotta end. It's just gotta stop. I'm telling you, when we go there, whether we go, because we usually stay a month or we stay a month in Italy or we stay a month in France, everybody comes together, our whole family, and you look at it, and you just can't believe that these people are doing that. And these kids are literally coloring and talking to their parents, having dinner. Not, give me my headphones back. It's none of that. It's amazing.
We'll never go back, because once you open up that door,
it's poison.
It's there.
Poison. But you are poisoning your child.
The only thing I would say, back when you had all your promotion people running around the country, I mean, I guess you'd have to track them down by leaving messages somewhere. Where are they? Now, that's the one thing. You have that cell phone. You can get them anywhere. You're not going to escape. You're not going to escape Don Ienner. He's going to grab you. He's going to find you. Hey, where are you? You couldn't.
Somehow we found the right Rick. Anyway.
Let me tell you something. As far as I'm concerned, he was ahead of cell phones. I don't know what we were doing. I'll have to play you this video, an Arista convention video of when Donny would call our houses at night. One of them, my wife goes, it's him again.
I
Oh
have
boy.
been known to get up early and go to bed late. I still get,
But
I still get up at 5:30. I can't help it. I
I
still
love
do.
it.
I
that's
still
So
do.
this
but
being for the
beyond the cell phone, just technology. What are your streaming? Because that seems to be today. Music is accessible. It's not like you got to go to the record. You got to go to the store. You got to get your out. This is like at the touch of your cursor. You have your
Yeah,
mouth. You can
I
hear
know.
anything, anytime,
I know. I
anywhere.
guess I guess that's good on one level. I mean, it is because you can pull up anything you want at any time. It was funny the other day. My AV guy and I were talking about we have Verizon where I live, and I got a message from Verizon that they have to come to the house and update some of the boxes. So as I was writing him, and I said, I hate fucking technology. All these things continue to go, and he's laughing, sending me back the text saying, "You're the guy that's had black vinyl. Then we had to go to cassette. Then we had to go to cartridge. Then we had to go to CD." And they said, and all the while, I can't even show you. All the while over there, I was playing "All Things Must Pass" by George Harrison on my vinyl record player. So I still listen to music all day when I'm in my office, or if I'm out, I listen to it in the car. I'm never without it.
so the name of this program is called For the Record.
Yes.
So to you, Donny, is there anything for the record that some of you want to say or clear up, or just something that is in you? Anything. If not, it's all cool.
I don't think there's anything for me to say that we haven't talked about today.
Good.
I had a wonderful time in my life in the music business. I think I left a great legacy. We all make mistakes here and there, but when I said I was going to do something, I did it. And when I said that I believed something was going to be a hit, I really believed it was going to be a hit, and I would be the first person to call whoever it was and say, "Take it off. It's not going to make it." I never wanted to burn a bridge. Scott Sandon tells a famous story about me. He said, if Donny told you 7 years ago that he was going to meet you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at such and such a place, he would be there. And I made it a habit of always doing that. So we
That's
all make mistakes. I've made plenty. We all did.
We all
Frank
did, yeah.
Sinatra made a lot of mistakes. You know what I mean? We all made mistakes. We all did things, but my heart was always in the right place. I always really, really, really wanted to do the best for the artists, and certainly, obviously, take care of the staff, which I always did. I was never, ever, ever chintzy with the staff. If I fought for a bonus for myself, I fought for bonuses for the entire staff because I knew how much money the corporation was making, and I thought
right.
that the staff should get paid. And I believed in all the things that I ever said and all the things I ever stood for. So I don't have any regrets, but I'm with two guys that 54 years for one and 40 some odd for the other. It's pretty good. We're still talking. We're still alive, and we
Yes,
still
we
have
are.
some fond memories, right?
And
It was
what
awesome.
about Don Ienner today? I mean, you mentioned restaurant business quickly, but could you give us a little thumbnail as to what you're involved with? Because sounds
We,
like it's
we
a
own a
lot.
bunch of we own a bunch of restaurants in Naples, one in Connecticut, and we own a Michelin star restaurant in Brooklyn called Oshimoko. We have a bunch of real estate holdings. Actually, one of them that's housing three restaurants, so we're kind of paying ourselves. And we have a family office of my family office that we run financially with my Sarity Partners people. So it's been a great life. It's been a great time, and I love to work, and I'll never give it up. We sold our advertising company 2 years ago called The Lodge. We were doing about, I don't know, maybe 100 ads a year. And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden, we had 54 writers. All of a sudden, AI starts. You don't need any writers.
Mm.
So
There you
we had 30,000 copyrights, which we sold. We did very well sold them last year just before the insanity of it. But we had 54 writers. And these kids were writing 60s, 90s, 120. Mercedes would send us a film. This is the new Mercedes. We want it to sound like Livin' La Vida Loca. We need 10 versions of it. So our guys would sit there all night, make 10 versions of it, send it. We'd win the prize. We'd keep it and we kept all the other 9 that they kept. And then they paid us for years and years and years. But then it stopped being rewarding. They just licensed music for nothing. People were just giving it away. It's the same old thing, right? Desperate people do desperate things, and we didn't want to be part of it, so we sold it. And I enjoy the other stuff. So
with the restaurant business, something you thought about years ago? Did you just like that business? I have a lot of friends of mine with restaurants, and
no. What the truth of the matter is I invested in restaurants in my life, and I went to restaurants mostly every night in my entire career.
Right.
So when we took some sort of residence, not full-time residence in Naples, Florida, we're now full-time residents, but we're there 6 months, and we're in the New York area and Connecticut 6 months. But out of those 6 months in Connecticut, we usually spend a month or so in Europe, and more now since we have a grandson there. So we would go down, and Naples is a very, very Midwestern town.
Mm.
No disrespect to any of those people who are wonderful. They have no idea what New York restaurants are like. None. I mean, it's chicken with pasta and these sauces and these things I couldn't eat. And my wife was saying, come on, we got to come down here. I love it here. I don't want to be on the East Coast. All your people are going to be over there. You're never going to stay with me. You're never going to do what you have to do. You're going to be out with them. I don't want to do it. And so I said, okay, we can stay here, but I'm going to have to start a restaurant. And this guy, Vincenzo Betulia, would be cooking for us when we would go down at this wonderful Italian restaurant. And he was getting frustrated because he had to cook for the Midwestern people. And he was born in Sicily. And then he was actually bored. They weren't paying him what they should have been paying him. He just got a set of twins, and he wasn't making the kind of money he would have. So we bought a building, me and 2 other friends, and then we put Vin in business, and we won for almost 14 years now, best Italian restaurant in Naples. A year later, we opened up Bartulia next door in our building. 2 years later, we opened up the top French restaurant in Naples, just down the street. And then 2 years ago, we opened up a place in Mercato, which is a big shopping center in Naples called Bartulia Mercato. And all along, he created this wonderful catering business. So we're loaded for bear down there. And then we have other ones around. But it's not the greatest business post-COVID. Certainly not in the different climate areas. And then Naples exploded. So 400 restaurants came in and sort of chipped away at everybody. But we're solid, and we keep on doing very well. We just do our thing, and it's fun. But I mean, I don't work there. So, I'm the lead investor in all the restaurants. But it's fun. It's fun. It's just great. And they do a great job. Everything's house made. The pastas are all house made. All the cheeses are house made.
Okay,
it's really fun. Huh?
It sounds great. I'm ready.
No, it's great. Yeah. It's great. And then my youngest son, with 2 other friends, started Oshimoco in Brooklyn. And 5 months after they opened up, they got a Michelin star. And 8 years later, they still have a Michelin star. It's the only Mexican restaurant in the United States of America that has a Michelin star.
With a Michelin star. Wow. What's the name again? Let's give them an extra
Oshimoco, Oxomoco. It's in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. It's a great place. Then we have one in Danbury, which we used to own a piece of a hotel there. We sold a piece of a hotel out, and we have one in Danbury, Connecticut called Terra. And that's the extent of it, except for we own a small piece of La Coloniale, of which there's 9 of them around the country, and, different things like that. So it's fun. Keeps keeps the juices flowing, the creative juices flowing, the marketing juices flowing. So it's fun.
Well,
And
you
you
said
can eat, and you can
doing
eat.
your thing, and as
And you
long
could
as
eat, but it's also a team, right? You motivate a
yeah,
team. There's no difference in
yeah,
a football team, a baseball team, a
I
chef's
love
team,
it.
that's
or
right.
a record company team. It's just a team.
It
And you
is a
motivate
team.
them and do the right thing and treat them well, and they treat you well. That's the
It's
way
a
it
team
goes.
sport, but it comes from the top. You were at the top at Arista, Columbia. You did all this, and listen, you said you're doing your thing. As long as Rick and I have known you, you're going to keep doing your thing. And I know this is something. One of the things you don't do is interviews, and doing this for us today is.
No, I'm thrilled to.
We
Yeah,
appreciate it,
we
Two
and
special guys. I was really happy to say yes.
oh, it's the best. We want our subscribers subscribe to For the Record. We'll do more of
here's the
these
DJ
and
part.
comments. We love
There's
our
the DJ
comments.
part.
What was that, Rick?
I said, here's the DJ part too.
Exactly. You gotta do the DJ part.
You got to do it.
Of
You got
Part
to.
of
course.
the whole
Don't
thing.
forget the call letters. I know.
You don't. No,
Exactly.
you got to ask for the sale. Otherwise,
Yes.
There you go.
no is just a maybe.
No. Subscribers.
If you don't
and that,
ask, you don't get.
and also not just subscribers. Dave will say next. And don't forget to leave a comment.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
Okay. Adios.
Yes.
All right, guys.
All right.
Take care. Thanks for
again.
that. I appreciate it.